I don't know if you guys have seen this chart. We really got to get some monitors set up so you can see it.
Yeah.
But it's the M1 money stock going back to 1959. So this is the amount of dollars and other, like, basically it says billions of dollars seasonally adjusted monthly from 1959 till today. And from 1960 until let's say about 2000, it's just a very slow and steady going, so it's decades. Then at 2008, it goes up a little bit. The frequency of the production of money increases. 2020 happens. And you know what the line looks like? It goes straight up.
Wow.
Just straight up. Here's what it says. In December 2019, 3,978 billions of dollars. And then in about February to March, it starts to hockey stick. And then from April to May, it goes up more. And then from April to May, it jumps dramatically. Now, some people have pointed out that they changed the way they calculate this in May, and that may contribute. But there's also other charts, the M4 money stock and other charts from the Financial Times showing, regardless of the way they changed it, the same thing happened. They started mass printing money with these stimulus checks, and we went from, in March, 4,000, what is it, 4,257 to, what do we got here? July, 16,803. So it, quadrupled? Mm-hmm. And now it's at 18,105 billions of dollars in the M1 money stock. I'm not an economist. I can't tell you the nitty gritty of the M1 money stock. Some people have said it doesn't necessarily matter because it doesn't, it's just money in circulation or something like that. But I'll tell you this chart and the other charts I've looked at, many people are pointing out it's unprecedented and we have no idea what's going to happen when you dump that much money into the system.
I have some idea. LOL. Do you?
You remember Weimar Germany?
Yeah. What was it?
Shuffling the Deutsche Marks into the gutter.
You ever heard of Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Venezuela.
What did they say in
Brazil?
What did they say that happened in May? That they changed the way they did you have more data about? They said the way they changed, they measure the M1 money supply
it's like
in May?
so I don't want to read the whole thing.
Okay.
It just says before May, it consists of currency at the outside the U.S. Treasury, Federal Reserve banks. Let's see. I wonder if there's just an easy way to look at what the change was. I'm not entirely sure the difference is that much. Well, so let's see. Demand deposits at commercial banks. Where's the first change? Okay, beginning May 2020. It doesn't look like. I'll have to read through it.
Well, it seems oddly insidious that they would change the way they do the measurements in May of 2020 after they printed 12 trillion. So they went from 4 trillion now to 18 trillion of liquid money in the supply.
Well, some people are saying, oh, no, it only looks that way because they changed the way they calculate it. And I'm like, the hockey stick started before May.
Yeah, it started in
It was February to March, March to April, April to May, and then May to June is not the biggest spike. So they say, oh, but at the beginning of May, yeah, right, May to June is where we should see the biggest spike, right?
You know what else is up about 400%? Bitcoin. What was Bitcoin in
wow, it really
last
is.
January?
In November, it was 13,000.
It's almost exactly.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And that was November. What was it last January?
Luke, give us the talking point. What was the meme?
For
Bitcoin. You said, remember what you said?
I forgot.
Don't make me say it.
Say it.
If you bought Bitcoin instead of Toy
Oh,
Story.
yeah. If you bought Bitcoin instead of Toy Story 3, the DVD, you would have $10 million.
Say that.
Yes.
That's so rude.
Yep. The DVD came out in 2010.
Amazing.
$10 million.
$10 million.
And I don't know what it was, what Bitcoin was in January of last year.
All of you people who bought Toy Story 3 on DVD, how dumb do you feel?
Good movie.
You should have been psychic and known to buy an obscure computer program digital currency that no one knew about. One of my favorite memes is from the early 2010s, and someone was like, "This Bitcoin thing seems interesting. What can I do with it?" And then someone said, "Buy drugs and hire assassins on the internet." And that was, they were like, "Why would I buy it then?" But all of the ANCAPs, the anarcho-capitalists, were like, "Wow, count me in!" And now a whole bunch of them are rich.
Yep. March 12th of 2020, Bitcoin was $4,857.
So it's up 1,000. It's up like 1,200%.
Everybody's seeing this. They're seeing the mass printing of money, and they bought Bitcoin.
Yeah, even the banks.
Yup. Even
Elon
the banks,
Musk.
big insurance firms.
I think they're prepping for a total economic reset or transition to be.
Well, you know who one is the
currency.
biggest holder of Bitcoin, right? China.
Well,
They
they
bought
were
a
the
bunch.
biggest miners of Bitcoin. We should probably do an audit. Someone should. I think they already did. Where all the Bitcoin that was mined in China went, because that would be a very interesting perspective. There's also a lot of talk about a lot of whales having a lot of control of Bitcoin. That's one of the talking points that a lot of the alternative cryptocurrencies are making. So again, a lot of people are also saying, and I've been saying this from the very beginning, Bitcoin could be a NSA honeypot from the very beginning. Could be. We don't know. I don't have any evidence to prove that.
I said this not necessarily. Well, I said this very early on, but I've maintained this. Bitcoin is completely trackable. Every transaction is tracked, and they have AI that know exactly who's spending what. So we've seen all these stories where they're like, we know the far right is spending money here and doing these things, and here's what they bought, because they can track every account in the blockchain. So they know what you're doing.
Yeah, they can on Monero.
Right,
and other
Monero's
cryptocurrencies.
They can't.
Yeah.
Right,
They can't, yeah.
right. And that's why Monero jumped in value, because it was like, oh, I can use this, and it's untraceable.
But it's also why I got pulled off Bitrex last month.
For Americans. Well, yeah.
For Americans, how
Yeah.
insidious.
Yup.
There's that word again. Wow, it's
They want to know when you poop, Ian. Facebook.
They want to control you.
They want to know every little
track
thing
it.
about you.
So, but maybe that's good because people, what is this, the Panama Papers where they were storing all that money overseas?
No.
and
You misunderstand.
And it broke?
You're right, but you misunderstand. Do you think
Tracking for thee, but not
Yes.
for
Yes,
that
of
guy?
course.
you think the wealthy global ultra elites are going to be subject to us tracking their expenditures?
I would hope so.
No way. Could you imagine if Epstein was on Bitcoin and we knew exactly what he was buying? Never going to happen.
Yeah, Deutsche Bank got a slap on the wrist for unusual activities financing and helping Mr. Epstein. So
It's the the rich get richer, the poor stay poor, all that stuff. We know it's going to work. They're going to track you when you poop, but you will never be allowed to know when Bill Gates poops. That is Mark Zuckerberg off limits. Not allowed.
I would need to talk to a blockchain expert to know more about if they could track, if it would track everybody. Does it track the entire blockchain?
like if someone knows your address, they know your transactions.
But it's not even that. Remember we talked about how Facebook knows things based on things you might not realize? You can look at certain wallets and see all of them as a blind, public key. It's just a code. You don't see anything. But the computer sees 5 accounts that interacted with this one account. They know that this account interacted with this account, and they know this account was in Chattanooga. That means if this one's in Chattanooga, this one had to be somewhere near it. Lo and behold, this one interacted with that account. That account was also a few miles from Chattanooga. Boom. They know what city you're in.
They're probably laundering through wallets.
Well, definitely a lot of people launder through wallets. But what I'm saying is an AI can look at a big list of all these different hash codes and see something a human can't. They can see location data. They can see everything because it's all connected. They only need one key, right? So imagine a Sudoku puzzle. You've played Sudoku, you guys know?
Yeah.
You need a few clues, and then you can solve the puzzle. For those that aren't familiar, it's like, it's 3x3 grid, and you got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's got, you can only have one digit in each row, and you got to figure out where it is. You give someone a few clues for a few starting numbers, and you solve the puzzle. A supercomputer is going to look at the Bitcoin blockchain, and they're going to have just one teeny bit of information. This account is a high volume account in New York City. And from there, they can find out who else is in New York City. They can create a data visualization because this one wallet only interacts with, 50 accounts in New York and only a few others outside of it. Therefore, the person's likely in New York City. Then they can look at who's interacting. They can see that person, and they can create an entire heat map, a geographical location